What's up, guys? Welcome back to Punk Politics. I'm A. Thompson. Apparently there's some sort of media blackout happening with regards to the COVID inquiry. Lots of mainstream news outlets appear rather tight-lipped, curiously tight-lipped. I mean, you're talking about an industry comprised primarily, majority, by overconfident, changed-up ADHD patients jacked up on that private school confidence and amphetamines. They're never normally too shy, are they, in reporting news, in telling us what's going on. It's almost like there's some sort of super injunction or breakfast club informal gag order. Anyway, much like them, I also have trouble shutting up, so I'm just going to tell you what's going on. First up, do you know Matt Hancock? You know he's already been up to take the stand, to give evidence. Do you know he's reportedly, allegedly, refusing to be involved to any greater extent for fear that he might be incriminating himself? Like, he's actually like, look, I don't care what this inquiry is seeking to reveal. I refuse to be involved to any greater extent unless you can give me immunity from prosecution. Like, doesn't this get to the heart of Team Sunak, Team Johnson's warped understanding of what government actually is? Like, to you and me, we would think an elected government is there to protect and serve the public, especially in a pandemic kind of situation. Like, to my mind, that is when a government should step in and go like, oh, okay, right, let's just stop all of the nonsense. Let's just treat this like a sort of war. We can't mess around here, lads. We might actually have to protect the public. But no, it appears that even in a scenario like a pandemic, a deadly influenza virus, even then, it appears that the government may have been engaging in some sort of criminal conduct. Well, I'm sorry, I'd love to help you, but if I do, there is a very real chance I might be incriminating myself, so I'm going to need immunity from prosecution. Like, what did you do, Matt? I mean, we're talking about a guy who we already know he funneled a PPE contract out to his favourite pub landlord. We know he was signing off the social distancing rules at the same time as breaking them with his mistress. We know he was dispatching your gran from the hospital with every other COVID-infected patient, sending them out to the care homes like they were Uber Eats. Like, what did Matt Hancock do that was so bad that even now, in the inquiry, he's like, I'd love to be transparent here for this inquiry. I would. But, oh my lord, the things I could tell you might land me in prison. Also happening at the COVID inquiry, it's being reported that Boris Johnson's phone, which is supposed to be submissible as evidence, is magically missing about 6 months worth of text messages. And if you want to read on where that sits in the Honesty and Transparency League, it's probably just underneath the shredded documents they found burning in a bin round the back of Enron. Like, what possible reason could he have for having deleted 6 months worth of text messages? You know? He's like, oh, I don't know, I must have just deleted a few of them, just to make space. Yeah, you still got the Deliveroo ones on there, don't you cunt? Also, on the subject of phones and text messages, Simon Case, who was the cabinet secretary throughout the pandemic. You might remember that name because he said that he broke his phone and then that he couldn't find it, or he lost it, or he gave it to somebody else. Like, this is how you know they were partying throughout that period. Because these guys seem to lose their phone as often as I used to when I was a student getting hammered 3 times a week. Anyway, Simon Case was expected to also testify at the COVID inquiry. But now also, somewhat magically, miraculously convenient perhaps for him, he appears to be too ill to appear. He's been signed off sick, the poor thing. Like, if that is true, if he is actually unwell and he's been signed off, he must be the only person in the UK who would be happy to be sick. Or at least the first time in a long time that somebody's happy to come down with something. I mean, I remember one time I was expected to join in this 5K charity fun run, and then, like, on the morning, I came down with a really vicious cluster of verrucas, and it was just, it was terrible. But I'll tell you what, I loved each and every one of them. Also, on the subject of messages and old phones, Rishi Sunak said that he couldn't hand in his old phone from that period because he didn't have access to it, or he gave it away to somebody else. It's something like that. And that was his story. And that was sort of holding up until earlier this week. The old number from that phone leaked online, along with audio of people phoning it and it's still connecting and still going through to his voicemail. So it's almost as if he's talking unadulterated bollocks. What is going on with this COVID inquiry? Where do you think it's headed? I mean, obviously nobody's going to jail because it's a government inquiry. It's not a prosecution, so to speak. But why is Matt Hancock so scared to take the stand? Why do none of them want to show anyone their text messages? And most troubling of all, here's a question for you. What is it that you think that they've done? Like, what is the worst thing they might have done throughout that pandemic period? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, peace.